First up, it's the pinnacle of football. Kickoff at the Champions League final in Budapest is in just a few hours. 6 p.m. Paris time, 9:30 p.m. New Delhi, noon in New York. Arsenal are trying to win it for the first time, while Paris Saint-Germain want to become only the second team to win it twice in a row. Arsenal have a record-matching 9 clean sheets, and PSG are 1 goal away from the competition's scoring record. Our sports reporter Selina Sykes is in Budapest, and she's joined by freelance football journalist Karim Baldé. Great to have you both with us. Thanks for linking up. So the main question I think everyone is thinking at this point is, PSG, it's their attack versus Arsenal defence. That would be the cliche of the preview today. But is it that simple?
Who starts, Peter? I don't think it's that simple, but obviously it has been billed as this attack against defence, but also beauty over pragmatism. Obviously, Arsenal have done so well this season primarily because of their defence. They're unbeaten in the Champions League. They've conceded just 6 goals. They've also obviously been very reliant on set pieces, which is why they've got a lot of criticism this season for their style of play, being boring and overly pragmatic. But it's working for them. In the Premier League, they've scored 25 goals from set pieces, 19 from corners. That's a record. And then obviously you have them coming up against PSG, which is a very attacking side, very entertaining side to watch. As you mentioned, 44 goals scored in the Champions League so far this campaign. They have played 2 more matches than Arsenal, has to be said. On the flip side, they've conceded 22 goals, so maybe their defence is the potential weakness here today against a strong Arsenal defensive lineup. But they've shown also that they can defend when needs be, like in that second leg against Bayern Munich when it was 1-1, and the centre-backs, Pacho and Marquinhos, have formed a really good partnership, and they did very well at keeping Harry Kane out until obviously the dying minutes of that game. So it's not just as simple as that, but ironically, Karim might agree with me on this, it would be in Arsenal's favour, I think, to play defensively, because anything else, an open game, would definitely work in PSG's favour.
Yeah, clearly, because we saw what happened during the semi-final versus Bayern Munich in the first leg with that incredible score 5-4 for PSG. It was an open-minded game. It was so open, wide open game, but at the end, PSG was a little bit better than the German side. So yeah, maybe Arsenal would like to defend more than attacking, because Mikel Arteta told us yesterday at the press conf that he didn't want to give us the strategy, obviously, but still we know that he can be a little bit shy, at least for the kickoff, because if not, it could be complicated. We saw last year versus Inter Milan what happened. The Inter Milan just crashed down, literally, and with that 5-0 defeat. So yeah, I think that Arsenal will try to wait a little bit to feel the spirit of the final, because we don't have to forget that PSG won it last year. So it means that they have more experience, and for Arsenal, that's their first final in 20 years. And those young players in the Arsenal squad, they will discover a European Cup finals. So that's going to be very, very important to keep in mind at the kickoff, and we'll see later on what will be the remaining of the game.
Now, I don't need to tell our viewers that you're, of course, at some kind of PSG fan zone there. Now, you mentioned there, obviously, Arsenal coming off the back of a historic win in the Premier League. PSG already won the competition last year, so I imagine both squads are feeling pretty fearless, but what about the fans? What's the sentiment like where you are, Selina?
I'd say PSG fans are feeling pretty confident. Look, we've got one just coming to join us there. But I think, obviously, there is that extra confidence, isn't there? When you've already won one Champions League, you're coming back here for a second year in a row. Obviously, fans are going to be confident, but I think they are more wary. Arsenal, they need to be wary of Arsenal. They are aware that, obviously, winning a Premier League is very hard compared to, I have to say, the Ligue 1, where obviously PSG dominate year in, year out. Winning a Premier League is very hard, and Arsenal haven't got to this final by chance. And when it comes to Arsenal fans, I would say they're riding high also on the confidence of having won the Premier League. It's a big deal. It's a big thing. They didn't just win it by scraping through in the end. They won it with a 7-point cushion over Manchester City, who won at their best this season, granted, but Mikel Arteta has finally done it. It's been a long project as well for Arsenal. They've had to wait a long time for this one to come. And really, I think for a lot of fans here today, there's that moment of finally winning a Champions League title. And there's obviously been a lot of talk about the Invincibles under Arsene Wenger. And this team here today have the chance of doing something that the Invincibles never managed to do, and that is win the Premier League and the Champions League.
Yeah, now, Karim, I don't want to betray the club affiliations of myself and Selina, but as a neutral looking at this, I find it's quite hard to dislike either of the Arsenal or PSG squads, isn't it? I mean, most of us are probably just looking forward to a great match.
Yeah, we all hope for a great match because you have quality. It is true that if you look after Arsenal journey to the Champions League, and especially in the knockout stage versus Bayer Leverkusen, what happened versus Sporting Portugal and also versus Atletico Madrid, these weren't like incredible games in terms of quality of play, but Mikel Arteta's squad just wanted to go through. They want to make history. They did it in the Premier League this season, so they want to go further, and they want to do what Arsenal couldn't do under Arsene Wenger. He's a legendary boss, obviously, in the 90s and the 90s, but now they will have that opportunity to win Champions League. But they have quality in their squad. We talked a lot about set pieces, obviously, as you talked, Selina, earlier, but we should raise also players such as Bukayo Saka, for example. He didn't score too many goals this year, but he's so important, so crucial for that team. Eberechi Eze, I looked after him yesterday at the training session because open for media, and I saw his quality when he when he wanted to score goals in front of net. Well, I can tell you that he's more than ready to score tonight versus PSG, and we can call to Martinelli, which is Arsenal's best goal scorer this season in the Champions League. So that's why we shouldn't fall into the cliche, but obviously for Paris, we all remember that quality squad. Ousmane Dembélé, the Karim Baldé, Kvaratskhelia as well, Georgian players, and many others who can create the danger. The danger can come from everywhere from that team, and also from fullbacks such as Nuno Mendes and Achraf Hakimi, and those two important players will be fit for tonight's final. So this is going to be a great match. I hope so tonight.
Yeah, you mentioned a bunch of players there of different nationalities. Some of us are obviously looking forward to the World Cup. Should we be keeping an eye on who in this final might end up being a game changer for their country? Either of you have any picks there?
Oh, unfortunately, I think the big pick I would have chosen is the Georgian Kvaratskhelia, who won't sadly be at the World Cup. But then other than that, you've obviously got many French stars in the PSG side. A few, Saliba also in Arsenal, who's been great in defence for Arsenal this season. I think he's been one of the cruxes, cruxes that hold that solid defence together. Obviously, you've got Declan Rice, who will be a shining star for England, hopefully this summer for the Three Lions. You've got really stars wherever you look in the two starting 11s of this side. But I think, sadly, Kvaratskhelia, who will not be at the World Cup, is one of the standout players of this Champions League. 10 goals and 6 assists. I think he's actually the leading scorer in the Champions League, if I'm not mistaken.
He scores more in Champions League than in League One, by the way.
Exactly, and that's another thing, isn't it? Because obviously PSG have been very well rested. We haven't spoken about that. PSG players have been very well rested compared to the Arsenal players ahead of this game. There's been a lot more minutes in the legs of the Arsenal players. The Ligue 1 is a few games shorter because there's fewer games in there, and they also wrapped up things up earlier than the Premier League. Arsenal obviously winning it with a game to spare, so they could rest players in the last game, but Arsenal have had 6 days, I think, to prepare, whereas Paris Saint-Germain have had 13 or 14, I think, so that could play a lot into the game today as well, I think, Karim.
Yeah, definitely. And a quick word about the ongoing World Cup, because Marquinhos said, PSG's captain, obviously, Marquinhos said that you can't play a UEFA Champions League final at 90 or 95%. You have to be 100% on the field. And if you think that you may be injured and that could have consequences on the World Cup, this is the worst mindset to get, because in those opportunities, in those moments, you can have an injury and you can be out of the World Cup. So that's why we can be sure that the players will give whatever they want, whatever they have in their heart, in their body, to create the most and the better spectacular, better show on the pitch tonight.
Great. And let me just get quickly your two scoreline predictions, and your future appearing on France 24 depends on how accurate your answers are, so I'll be making a careful note of this. Your scoreline predictions, please.
No pressure then. I'm often awful at this. I'm gonna go I'm going to go with 2-1. I can't see PSG not scoring or scoring just the one, and I'd like to think that Arsenal will give it a bit of a go. I think it's really important who opens the scoring, and that will be very interesting for the game, because if PSG open the scoring, that's going to force Arsenal to take the game to them a bit more and give it a bit of that. So yeah, I'm going to say 2-1
PSG
Peter.
Arsenal. Okay,
Yeah,
Karim.
and I will try 3-1 PSG for me. 3-1
okay.
PSG.
Okay, well, I think it's probably because you're standing
It's funny
amongst
'cause,
all
yeah.
the PSG fans right now. You can't possibly say, the other way around.
I'm neutral as a journalist, so I try
Okay.
to analyze, and I think that PSG can score many goals such as they did last year, but Arsenal, I'm afraid of Arsenal in a way, so I think that they can score
They're
as
going
well.
to get a corner in or something
Yeah,
like
set
that.
piece, as
Yeah,
usual.
I
They're
look
gonna
forward
get a set
to your
piece or
live
something,
report
but
from
yeah,
the
2-1
Arsenal
PSG.
fan zone in a few hours' time, where you say that the scoreline is going to be the exact opposite. I'll be keeping a close eye on you guys. Thank you very much, both of you, for tuning in. Great to have you both on the programme, and look forward to speaking to you a bit later in our special programme here on France 24. Appreciate it.